Four. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the EG Pod Thunder with your boy, the young light-skinned Keith Sweat. And to my left, my guy, Lorenzo Perry. He's a certified youth fitness specialist who owns and operates GameDay Fitness. Lorenzo opened GameDay in 2012 with a mission to help young athletes maximize their athletic potential. Lorenzo attended Salle Academy, where he lettered in 3 varsity sports. However, it was on the football field where Lorenzo truly excelled, as he would help LaSalle to 3 consecutive D1 championships. During his 4 years at LaSalle, he earned awards such as LaSalle Academy Male Scholar Athlete of the Year, Super Bowl MVP, Rhode Island Gatorade Player of the Year, just to name a few. After graduating from LaSalle Academy, Lorenzo received a D1 college scholarship to continue playing his career at UMass Amherst. After playing 2 seasons with the Minutemen, Perry transferred to Bryant University, where he would graduate with a Bachelor's of Science degree. On the football field, Lorenzo would essentially rewrite Bryant's Bulldogs records books with his outstanding play. During his 2 seasons with the Bulldogs, Lorenzo earned Northeast 10 Conference Player of the Year, East Coast Player of the Year, and Associated Press First Team All-American in just 2 short seasons. Lorenzo's dominance would earn him a first ballot selection into Bryant University's Athletic Hall of Fame, Class 2013. That is quite a bio, my guy. I appreciate you coming through. Well, coming on the EG Pod Thunder, your first debut for the show.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure to be here, and appreciate the eloquent introduction.
Oh, man, that was the top of the line. I've had like 150 episodes so far. That had to be the home run hitter right there. And right off the bat, actually, I had a question of mine already. So,
yeah.
Like with me, I like to travel. I go on plenty of adventures, excursions, music, concerts, football games, basketball games. Had the podcast, and people are always like, "How are you doing this?" And I think, I don't know, I'm just doing what I love to do. It doesn't really comprehend. They're like, "Wow, that's crazy." Even you talking to someone you don't know. I don't have the courage to do that, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I just go out and do that."
Right.
So my question for you is, do you even understand, because you're him? Do you realize that you're a Rhode Island football legend? Does that come across your mind, or are you just you just continue doing on what you're doing, or do you have that confidence where you're like, oh, or that mindset, you're like, wow, I am that guy, I am that Rhode Island football legend?
Nah, it's funny you asked that, but no, it never really, kind of crosses my mind or really get fixated on, being a, Rhode Island legend or a legend on the football field or, anything like that. Like you said, I kind of just, live my life and go through doing the things that I enjoy, doing the things that, kind of make me happy. And, if I happen to, make some noise or set some records along the way,
yeah, that's for sure. That's dope because, like I said, I had that mindset too. But where do you think that mindset came from? Because not everybody has that mindset to be successful, to be a beast, to break all these records, become a Bryant Hall of Famer. So was that instilled in your mindset from a young age? Do you always have that in your mind, your confidence?
Yeah, I think that, ever since early on, playing football and just competing, whether it was football, basketball, tag, muckle, whatever it was, I always wanted to, be him, and be that guy. So I just always, felt the need and the urge to dominate. So whatever it took, to kind of dominate, whether it was on the field, the classroom, business-wise, whatever it was, it's hard for me to just kind of settle on mediocrity, so it was just, just something from a young age, man, where you just, you want to dominate and just, own whatever arena you're in.
So second place was never an option to you. You never thought you're going, I'm playing football, I'm playing basketball, I'm the top guy, I'm taking home the trophy.
That was it, man. Second place definitely never an option, from the day I started playing sports, to, like I said, anything, just out there playing, basketball with your boys at the courts or whatever it is. I was always just super, super competitive, man, and just always wanted to dominate, whatever it was that I did.
That's crazy. Do you think do you think that trait in people is genetics? Would you attribute that to your mom or your dad or someone in your family? Because I'm sure, as you guys all know, tuning into this, and if you don't know, not even just Lorenzo, but all the Perry brothers. Like the Perry brothers are like known in Rhode Island. So it's like, I played against Kendall when I was at Saints and, Hurling. So you guys all have that gene. So do you think it's like genetics in you? Like you think it's family, or what do you think? What's your mind, like their thought process on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is definitely, genetic, your environment. I think the environment that you're kind of almost bred in kind of instills certain, qualities in you that really stick, and we grew up in a competitive environment. We have a big family, so we were always, playing sports or playing games or just doing things together, or just even, wrestling and things like that. So we just always kind of, was in that environment, and that dog and that competitive spirit was just something that was just bred in us through the environment that we kind of, grew up in.
I'm not sure. What's the age difference between you and Hurling?
1 year.
1 year?
Almost 1 year exact. My birthday is August 10th. His is August 12th. So
Oh, snap.
exactly, just about 1 year apart.
And you're the oldest?
I am. I got him by a year.
So are you that guy, or you always teasing him? Was you always trying to be better than you? And like, were you always thinking like, nah, he's not gonna be better than me? So like, you already had that competition and competitive nature in your head already. Is it become even more extensive now that you have a younger brother? You're like, no way, dude's gonna be better than me.
Yeah, when we was younger, I would say, before high school, we was definitely very competitive. In the neighborhood, we was always on different, summer basketball league teams, and, he would always go at me and I would go at him. We go at each other hard. There was some times where, we almost got in fist fights out there on the basketball court and, playing in leagues in the neighborhood. And then as we, kind of graduated on and went into high school, it really became less competitive, and whether it was him or I, whoever was having success, he was, my biggest supporter, from LaSalle to Bryant to whenever I played, he would be right there with me and just, supporting and riding with me 100%.
That's what's up, man. I think, like I said this before in plenty of football podcasts, I think football, which people don't understand, it's like bigger than sports. It brings that brotherhood too, and that family, especially playing with your brother. I mean, I never had that privilege, but I kind of coached my brother up. But it must be like a different level when you're playing and having those bonds, those championship wins with your brother.
Yeah, it definitely is. It goes beyond the figure of speech of, like you said, kind of being brotherhood, being a tight knit family in a locker room, where this was literally my brother, blood brother, and we played together in youth football. We played together in high school, and like I said, he was always my number one supporter, always making it known, because like you said before, and we talked about a little earlier, I try to take more of a laid back, kind of humble approach, where he would be the voice for me. So
he was your mouthpiece.
Oh yeah,
he's the manager.
Definitely. So he would be the one speaking and letting everybody know, that's Big Bro. Big Bro is him. He's him. So he would definitely do the talking out there for me and be there and roll with me 100%.
How do you feel about that? Were you like embarrassed, or were you like, nah, I want to say it, but I'm just way more laid back? So like, were you approving of all the trash talk?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times I should say, where I had to tell him to just chill, you know what I'm saying? Because, after the first quarter, my game did the talking. So there was a lot of times where I had to tell him, just chill out a little bit, and, they're going to see.
So I'm definitely not going to, stop talking about your up and coming, but it's a quick question right on that. How do you feel being like a coach right now when, it's kind of, I don't know if I would say in the era of the Draymond Greens, but Draymond Green's always on the news for trash talking, him, Dylan Brooks. It's all that type of, chaos going on, especially with social media. A lot of high school kids like to talk trash back and forth with each other on Twitter. What's your thoughts on like your coaching approach to that? Like, are you like engaging in that? Do you like your players doing that, or you're more on your approach where you're just let the play do the talking?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not with that, and my guys know, and guys that play for me, there's a certain way that, we're going to play the game, and trash talking and getting out of character with sportsmanship and things like that is something I do not tolerate. So any guys that played for me know that that's not my style, that's not my approach, and that's not the way I coach my teams. I mean, we are going to, play the game physical, within the lines and within the whistle. We're going to play a certain way. We're going to have a certain level of a tenacity and ferociousness the way we play the game. Don't get that mistaken. But in terms of things that go on after the whistle or after the game or all of the trash talking, I like to tell my guys, let's prove it on the field. Let's prove it on the field, because there's been situations where these younger kids, they're talking junk on TikTok and this and that, and then we get to the game, and we lose. So I tell them, listen, you could do all that talking on TikTok. There comes a point where, you have to back it up. You got to back it up. So, I definitely don't condone, all the riffraff and nonsense that goes on. But I know to a certain degree it's almost, individualized, promotion for some of these guys in the way they play the game and the way they approach the game, because sometimes that's the guy that does make headlines, the guy that gets the interception, and instead of handing the ball back to the ref, he throws the ball up in the air and all his teammates are shooting it down, and, a lot of those, antics and stuff like that. So I understand that that's what makes, the social media sites these days.
So you kind of like, depending on how bad it is, sometimes you'll let it slide, sometimes you won't let it slide, depending on, really what it is. Because it is kind of crazy, like you're saying. Like, it can be that one person, like you said, does a celebration, then that clip goes viral, and now they're getting offers. It's like, what? It's kind of crazy how that like, kind of like transcends someone to the next, level of recruiting, which is kind of crazy. But yeah. I mean, the whole new level of recruiting. Just someone get back to like your early journey, but
yeah.
Just do you think in this era it's completely different, like this new Rhode Island, recruiting era? Like, do you think, I was watching your film earlier, after always knew who you were and stuff like that. Do you think like in today's era you would have been? I feel like you would be in the league if it was right now. Like if you were playing right now. Just this new era, like the Darren Sproles kind of set it off right now. Even that guy from Assumption who was on the Saints a couple years ago.
Yep.
Like, I feel like height really isn't a thing at this moment in time. So, like, do you feel like if you were born just in a different era, you'd be in the league right now?
Yeah, I do believe that. Back when I was coming out of college, it was definitely a different NFL. And the prototype of what they was looking for was a lot different, where the game has kind of transitioned and transcended so much from, where it was 10, 15 years ago to where it is now, and, like you said, you watch some of my tapes from before, and you can see that a lot of my skill set fits today's modern game, where they're looking for guys that are athletes, guys that can get out there, play in space, guys that can make people miss. And things like that, so that was really kind of my strong suit as a player, somebody that, could make plays in space, guys that was elusive.
Yeah, catch out the backfield, like a Eckler type, like a, Sproles out there in the backfield.
Yeah, exactly. And that was one of the reasons why I transferred from UMass, was because after my freshman year, the coaches that had recruited me and brought me in ended up leaving. The head coach got a job in the NFL, and the new regime that came in, their philosophy was just kind of, completely, contradictory to the style of player, that I was. So they liked more of a running back that was, 6'2", 6'3",
Derrick Henry.
Pounded up in there, exactly, a Derrick Henry, a Brandon Jacobs, one of those, big guys, in today's game, I would say I'm more like a Christian McCaffrey or, something like that is kind of where my skill set is along those lines. Obviously not nowhere as good as Christian McCaffrey, but yeah, those same kind of, skill sets and attributes. So
did that ever like deter you away from playing the sport, like being, both of us on the smaller end? So like on the smaller end of the brand of the, typical NFL running back, especially your day and age, was like, you just said the Derrick Henry types, the Brandon Jacob types. So that ever like deter you growing up, like where you're like, God damn, like, this isn't for me or anything like that, just because being on the smaller spectrum?
Right. No. It actually was kind of, motivating, and I never really, kind of looked at my height as a disadvantage. And I say that because every playing arena that I was in, I've always found a way to make plays. I've always found a way to, kind of dominate, the field every time I stepped on it, and that was the same thing, I used to tell, met with a couple of NFL scouts, and that was the same thing that, I explained to them coming out, where I never seen my height as a disadvantage, just because any playing arena, any playing field I ever stepped on, I never felt like it held me back.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I think right now it would be completely different because I know 2007 after Bryant, correct? So like you would have, Darren Sproles probably just entering the league.
Yeah.
So at that point, there was really no smaller end backs. So
no, and it's funny you mentioned Darren Sproles. Actually, when I was at UMass, my freshman year, we played Kansas State, out at Kansas State, and Darren Sproles was their starting running back, And he's definitely a guy that, I always looked up to and admired just because, we're very similar in stature, So I actually had a chance to play against him. He rushed for like 150 yards. I rushed for like 4, but yeah.
You're like, I should have been in the league.
So yeah, Darren Sproles, man, definitely a beast. I think he was one of the first guys that really kind of set it off in this modern era in terms of that, smaller back and just proving themselves that, if you find the right offensive coordinator that can build around your skill set, he can make plays, and he showed that he belonged for sure.
Yeah, so like saying like he belonged, but you were kind of he said that modern era back, but you were kind of like facing like the quadruple effect. Small from Rhode Island, you must have got that everywhere then too, no? Because people still get that now. Was it like really that a thing back then as well, where like you're playing against nobody, you're from Rhode Island?
Yeah, no, absolutely. When I still remember when I first went to college, when I was at UMass. A lot of my teammates, kind of used to smirk at, Rhode Island, and, same thing like you said, ain't nobody in Rhode Island, there's bums, you ain't playing against nobody.
But you was in a legit era, though. That was Blackman, right? Blackman was your era?
It was. Will was a year ahead of me, but, Will, Jamie.
Justin Wright from LaSalle, Saints.
He was at Saints. But, yeah, I always look at that as definitely a golden era of, Rhode Island football. The Plum brothers from Portsmouth. Ralph Plum went into training camp with the Raiders. There was a bunch of guys, Matt Sherry from Hendricken. So it was definitely a great era and great time of Rhode Island football. But yeah, once you leave Rhode Island, those guys still, didn't show you any respect at all. So it was a matter of, I had to, earn it and prove myself, in the eyes of my teammates that, once I stepped on that college field, regardless of where I played, football at, there's certain guys that just got it and they can play with whoever, wherever. So whether I was, playing at UMass or if I was in a training camp in Virginia or wherever it was, they realized, quickly that, okay, this guy, he's all right. He's all right. Yeah.
I mean, you went through that process. So does that kind of keep in the back of your mind? Is that one of the reasons why you're back given to the Cowboys and you started GameDay Fitness? Is that one of the stepping stones to your next foundation, your next stepping stone in your life?
A little bit. I mean, I just coach really because I enjoy it. I just love almost the aspect of just being around kids and not necessarily the game of football. That just happens to kind of be the vehicle in which, I choose to kind of give back. But it's not necessarily just football because, if it was just football, I had offers to coach at, the high school level. I've been offered to take over programs. I've been offered, assistant jobs at the collegiate level. But for me, it's really, I enjoy being back in the community where I grew up. I enjoy, working with kids, and just kind of teaching them, the right way to play the game and just really developing kids, not just, going out there and winning championships. Is really just the developmental aspect, and, not just from a football standpoint, but just as a human being, as a person, and really kind of, guiding some of these guys and being, or trying to be, a mentor that, they can kind of look up to and see somebody that's, done it, somewhat, of the right way and try to, provide and be a bridge and help some of these younger guys, in just any area of life that it might need it.
Definitely. I mean, I'm sure they all appreciate that too. Like I know one of he used to play my brother, but Dean, obviously always gives you thanks, and so appreciative of you and stuff like that. And also you have plenty of players, so I'm sure appreciate what you've done for them. And is that one of your things too? Like we kind of spoke about earlier, is like the kind of like the stigma. Where do you feel like there's like a stigma around like where you grew up on, where that's where you don't want your kids talking trash, you don't want the kids acting like that, because you kind of want to present themselves as like a better human, a better player, and a better person, and they learn those life lessons as well. Because I used to play at Saints, but then even I had some friends who weren't from the inner city. Even like we would face like certain teams that'd be like, if we face Central or if we face certain places, they'd be like, oh damn, we're going to Central today. Like I even had some kind of the podcast before. He used to go to LaSalle. He said his friends from LaSalle, they used to play soccer. They're like, oh my God, we're playing Central Falls today. They're ghetto over there. I'm not going there. I'm not getting shot. So like people have these mindsets of inner city of Mount Home Cowboys. Is that something you want to change, like that stigma of like being from the inner city and you don't want them acting like certain ways?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, a rabbit hole that we can go, way down and really kind of, unpack that on so many levels, because that's definitely, like a loaded question as we talk about the stigma and perception that people have on, kids from the inner city. So it's not even so much that I'm trying to dismantle that stigma or that image of them, from an outside perspective. It's really just internally within us, just trying to get them to not only act but play the game the way that I think the game should be played. There's some other coaches that, kind of on a, other end of the spectrum, and they coach it and teach it, a little bit differently. But there's just certain ways that I believe that the game should be played. I believe in playing the game classy, playing the game fair, playing the game with sportsmanship. You win with class, you lose with class, you respect your opponent, and things like that. So being from the inner city or the suburbs, regardless, I just think that that's the way that, the game should be played, and that's the way I like, to coach my guys and for them to play it.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. That's what's up, because I love to hear that. And do you ever feel like you had, ran into obstacles with that stigma yourself when you're coming up at, going to LaSalle? You're from Providence, I presume. Yeah, you're from Providence as well. So I'm not sure where you went to middle school or before that, but were you nervous to go to LaSalle? Were you the first of your family to go to LaSalle? Was that completely different? Like, did you want to go to like a public school originally, or was LaSalle always part of the plan? And, was like, how was that? Was it different for you?
Yeah, I mean, different to say the least. It was definitely a complete culture shock, like
Yeah,
you
for
said.
sure.
Growing up in Providence, I went to Nathan Bishop Middle School, which was, predominantly black, and then obviously we know LaSalle is, predominantly white. So it was definitely, a culture change, a culture shock for me. But my older sister, Shannon Perry, she actually, went to LaSalle, and so I had an opportunity to kind of be in that environment a little bit, prior to actually enrolling in LaSalle. So I kind of seen what I was getting myself into, and it kind of became apparent to me, when I was in maybe like 7th, 8th grade, that's where I wanted to go because of my love for the game of football. I had some friends and some family members that went to Hope, which is my feeder school where I would have went in Providence. And there was just never, good things that was said about the football program at Hope, whether it was, on the field, whether it was the discipline, whether it was just the structure of the entire program. It just didn't seem like, that would have been a good fit for me, given what I was looking to kind of do with football. So, LaSalle became that next best option for me.
Were you nervous, but you were not nervous because you kind of already were into that life already from your sister? So you weren't really nervous to take that jump to a different type of school?
Yeah, no, I was definitely a little bit nervous because it's the first time I would say you're going to a school where it's not all of your friends.
Yeah.
Like in elementary school, you're going to your neighborhood school with all of your friends are there. Same thing in middle school, all of your friends, your family, everybody kind of goes there. You know everybody. You go from 6th, 7th, 8th. So, you get the your report cards and stuff. Everybody sees what classes they're going to. So you already develop that comfortability, before you even get into the school. With LaSalle, it was definitely completely different where, again, I knew a couple of people, but it wasn't, a whole wave of friends or family going there that you felt comfortable with, so there's definitely a little bit of that apprehension and those thoughts of just kind of, just being in a new environment, being in an uncomfortable environment, just being in an environment where you're now the minority, so
Yeah.
absolutely.
Do you feel like that benefited you down the line as well? Like, do you think your life would it benefited you? And do you think like your life would be different if you did go to Hope instead of LaSalle?
Yeah, no, I think it definitely, benefited me. I think that anytime, we get a chance to, step out of our comfort zone and explore and kind of be a part of something that's a little bit different, from what we're accustomed to, I think there is a level of growth, that happens within us, just as a person, not only just as a football player, but just as a person, there's a level of growth, that we experience, and I could certainly say, with certainty that there was definitely a level of growth, within me, being at LaSalle, and just having different experiences, and just to kind of flash back a little bit to the other part about going to Hope, I think it definitely would have been a different experience. The outcome, I think, would have been very similar, just because I was a little bit more focused than a lot of my friends that may have went there that kind of drifted off or went down the wrong path. There's plenty of kids that go to public schools that go on to do very great, successful things. Like you said, you had Nan, a podcast, a couple of weeks ago. So his son, Demetrius, who went to Central, one of the biggest, inner city schools.
Yeah.
And the same stigma around them, inner city school kids, ghetto, drugs, violence, all that stuff that they say, persist in inner city schools, which, is true to a certain degree. So it takes a higher level of focus and dedication and commitment, for kids that do go to these schools, because there can be, more of those distractions for us that are from that environment. You know what I mean? So if I would have went to Hope, like I said, my level of focus and dedication has always been there from day one. So I think that while the experience of high school may have been different, going on to college, was absolute. That would have happened whether I went to LaSalle or, whether I went to Hope.
You sound like the LeBron James of Rhode Island. I've heard LeBron talk about plenty of times where he was the sellout for going to the private school and St. Mary's, and all his friends went to the public school, and he's like, I had to do it. I had to do it for myself. I had to get out. And he knew that was the right thing to do. It kind of seemed like similar to you as well. And, talking about private schools and public schools, this is a popular debate amongst, Rhode Island football, I'm sure, and plenty of different states as well. What's like your thoughts on, I'm sure people who watch football know Hendricken has dominated the past 15 years at this point in Rhode Island football. It's when it's not Hendricken, it's LaSalle. So, like, what's your thoughts on, and you coach a lot of kids who are in the Pop Warner, CLCF, Cardinals, Braves, they all come here. Cowboys, everywhere, Eagles.
Right.
So, what's your thoughts? Like, what's your mindset? Like, advice to people who are like, hey, Renz, my kid wants to go to LaSalle because if he goes to LaSalle, he's going to go get a D1 offer, or, what's the opposite spectrum, like you said, with Nasa and Demetrius, he played at Central, he's at a D1 school for track. So there's so many different ones. There's Quiddy. There's so many different, sex stories and not sex stories. So, like, what's your advice to someone who's like, hey, Renz, we trust you. He's been in the Cowboys for a while. What's your thoughts? If I go to Hendricken, I have to pay a little bit out of pocket, or, he can go to the new Pawtucket High School coming up. That's a great one. Pawtucket High School, EP, which is like a high school musical now. Those are great facilities.
Right.
So should they go to those schools? Should they go to Hendricken? Should they go to LaSalle? What's like your mindset and opinion on that?
Yeah, no, definitely a good question and a hot question. I get Frequently, just being alum of LaSalle and coaching at the Cowboys and coaching that age group 11, 12, which is that middle school age right before they kind of transition and kind of go into high school. Being a LaSalle alum, I still believe that you don't have to go to LaSalle or Hendricken to get a college offer, to be seen, to be noticed. There's one, like we talked about earlier, the game of recruiting and marketing and exposure has changed drastically over the years. So where, some of these bigger or better Division I private schools like Hendricken or LaSalle may have increased your opportunity at getting a little bit more exposure. I don't think that's the case now. So I think that if you have and it's going to come down to you knowing your kid. Like I said, if you have a kid that is focused, committed, and dedicated, and you could put him in your local public school, and you're not concerned with some of the distractions that he may see, on a daily basis, then I say, save the money and send him to one of those schools. But, what LaSalle or Hendricken, might offer for kids that are come from, the inner city is less of a distraction in the areas where we typically tend to be distracted. I mean, don't get me wrong, Hendricken or LaSalle, they're definitely going to have their issues and their distractions, and there's things that my teammates that were doing that just weren't a distraction for me, because that was just things that didn't really interest me. So I feel like every kind of, community may have issues or distractions that may be a little bit more appealing, or a little bit more, you feel a little bit more peer pressure to kind of engage in. So again, it really goes back to really knowing your kid and knowing your child, knowing what you're dealing with. But you don't have to go to LaSalle or Hendricken if you want to play at the next level,
Do you think, like, even if you go to EP, I think they were D2 this year, maybe they were in D1, I can't recall, but
Yep.
They were terrible either way. They have a terrible record or whatever. They're 2-7.
Yep.
Do you think, say if Quiddy, because everyone knows Quiddy at this point, Quiddy's in the league.
Right.
Say if Quiddy was on EP, do you think Quiddy still makes it to the next level playing at EP opposed to Hendricken?
Absolutely. I think that coaches, will find you. They will find you. If you're making that much noise, like we talked about, I went to Bryant, which was a smaller Division II school. At the time, they had just started their football program, and I want to say it was 99. They became like an official program, and I was on campus. I sat down. I watched film with the scout from the Miami Dolphins. I talked to the scout from the Baltimore Ravens. They came up to campus, to see what was going on over there. They heard about, some running back making noise over there at Bryant University. So, let's go see what's going on over there. So I think that, if you're making enough noise and you're making enough plays, I mean, the coaches will find you. And then you're going to eventually get those opportunities where, if you play in Division II or Division III, the caliber of play is certainly not up to Division I. There might be one or two guys on each team that are just, these guys are studs. They got it. They can play. It doesn't matter if they're at Hendricken or if they're at Hope or Central Falls. Like, these guys, they got it.
Do you think these kids, so if you went to EP, you're a stud, but do you think it's just more than just film? Like, do these kids have to be going to camps all week, every weekend in the springtime? Do they have to be doing all these things now, 7-on-7s? Is that a must from Rhode Island, do you think?
I think so. I mean, I'm not, really heavily in that realm. Like some of the guys like Stanley Dunbar and Nadeem Robinson, those guys really deal with that age group right now, and they're out. Stanley coaches at the high school level, and he coaches and I know he's going to coach some prep next year. So he's really right there in the thick of it with a lot of this. So he probably understands it more on a level that I don't. But from the perspective of where I'm looking at it with some of my nephews that are being recruited, some of the kids from Rhode Island that I see being recruited, those do seem to be the things that they're doing, to
Yeah.
increase their exposure. So it's not just, I'm going to play here in Rhode Island and then that's it. They are going to 7-on-7s. They are doing these camps, and that seems to be getting that added and increased exposure because, like you said, and like we talked about before, a lot of times there's a stigma, on Rhode Island football with, it being a smaller state and, there's bums over there. They ain't playing nobody. But when
As these showing that there's players out here breakthrough, he's winning national championships with the breakthrough 7-on-7.
absolutely. So with Breakthrough and BTP and organizations like that are from Rhode Island that are traveling, and the people are looking at them sideways when they say they're from Rhode Island, and then the look after they leave the tournament, clearly shows,
Yeah.
man, that these guys are out there and they're putting Rhode Island on the map and they're showing that they can ball. And as you look around, social media now, you see a lot of these guys from Rhode Island that are getting, big time offers.
Nashawn?
Yeah,
Crazy.
Nashawn Montgomery. He actually, one of the kids, he played for me, a few years back for the Cowboys when he was in seventh, 8th grade before he ended up going to high school. So to see him, kind of making the noise that he's making.
Does that make you proud too?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime I see these guys that played for me or that I know or that's from around here that are, I think, getting their right due, because they do have that skill set to play with anybody in the country, definitely makes me happy, and makes me proud to see those guys, excelling, at the highest level.
Is there any part of you like make a little bitter? You're like, damn, if I was in Sarah, I could be in there now. Or is it strictly all you're just proud no matter what because you coach them?
Yeah, zero envy for me. I, like we talked about before, I played the game. I played it at a high level. I feel confident and comfortable in, the career that I had. So right now, I'm really just rooting for a lot of these guys that are coming up, man, and just wishing them nothing but the best and sharing any experiences that I can with them. Sometimes I'll get players or parents that reach out to me because they do know my story a little bit and just ask for, feedback or advice, on, what I think, they should do moving forward, whether it's playing high school or going prep, and kind of what I think. And there's some connection, not even connections, but just people I know that, are coaching, whether it's high school, coaching, college ball. So, I'll shoot a text and pick their brain a little bit. Like Lamb, he played with me at LaSalle, my quarterback over there. So he's at Kentucky now, offensive coordinator at Kentucky. He was with the LA Rams, so I had a high school athlete that was kind of questioning, do I go prep now? Do I wait till my senior year and go prep? So I was like, I'll reach out to my boy Lamb, and just get it from a college coach's perspective, and see what they prefer. Do they prefer a kid, or do they think it's best for a kid to, kind of wait and then go prep after senior year, or kind of reclass early, or kind of how that game works?
So what's the answer? What's the answer?
So he basically said that depending on the caliber of the athlete, it's best to just wait. If you feel like you're a Division I kid, if you're just a kid that's just playing football, just go to college, and play. But if you're really at that high level and you really feel as though like football can be something beyond the next level, then, just wait and put yourself in that best position. But I've also heard people that, believe in reclassing early. So I don't think there's any perfect answer,
It varies on the person. You need to know. You need to have that real self-worth. Like, all right, this is what I'm doing. This is what my capabilities are.
Right. So I know some kids that reclassed early, just because they was really young going into high school, or not even young, but maybe not chronologically young, but kind of more biologically young, where their body just haven't developed. Yeah, they might have been 14 or 15, but they're still just these early bloomers. They just haven't really quite physically developed enough to feel comfortable playing at the high school level right now. And they felt as though it was a wasted year for them to go to high school. So.
Yeah, you're saying I'm biological ready now. Like, not physically ready. And, that's why, you have Game Day Fitness right here behind us. So, they want to get physically ready for the upcoming season that can come through to Game Day Fitness. So, like you said, you've been there for 6 years at this current location and up since 2012. So, so you've had it all. So what do you offer here at Game Day Fitness, like overall? So, they can tune and tap in right now and hit Game Day on Facebook and Instagram right here. So what can they come through and expect that they're coming to Game Day Fitness?
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of had a little shift once I moved over here over the last few years, where now my primary focus is on youth athletic development. And when I say youth, I'm talking about, pre-high school, so elementary, middle school age. Those are the guys that I'm really focusing on, not high school or college. I did, train some of those guys initially.
Yes, so, I'm sure you're about to get to it right now, but why don't you focus on the high school and stuff like that? Why do you have kind of that cutoff age?
Yeah, so two things. One is, so as we talked about before, I do coach youth football. I coach 11 and 12. So, and I've been coaching that level since 2007. So I've been with that same age group for like about 15 years or so. And it's just always been an age group that I really enjoyed coaching. They're still young enough where they listen and they're very receptive of the things that you're teaching. They still want to work out to have fun. So I just really love and enjoy being around, that age group. And then at the high school level, one is it started to become a little bit challenging, working around some schedules for, high school athletes or college athletes. Then it started to become a game. Like there's some people that's just, training guys for clout and just, things like that where, I just want to train guys. I don't want it to be, who you're training. You know what I mean? I just want the pure aspect of just people coming to the gym just to, really work out, have fun, move, improve their athletic abilities, and just kind of, getting them young and molding them from there and just teaching them and guiding them the right way, so. Yeah. When they get to high school, a lot of these principles and stuff that they learn over here, they can keep with them.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear that. So, I'm not sure if you get this often, but I'm a parent, Renz. It's kind of tough with finance and stuff like that. So, what can you do to do you work with people if they're coming in? I mean, you are in the inner city, so what's that structure like? Do you offer weekly? Is it daily, or what's the price points where parents need to know to tap in if they want their kid to come to Game Day Fitness?
Yeah, I mean, my prices are definitely, set as to what they are, but it's mindful, of the demographics of, where I'm running my business at. I know I'm here, in Pawtucket with the surrounding communities, Providence, Pawtucket, Central Falls, so I understand that we're not in, certain cities where the household income, is a lot higher. So just setting my prices is, I try to be mindful of that. And whether it's, here or with the Cowboys, I never really like for finances to be an issue why a kid can't participate, So at Game Day, I can't lie, I'm not as flexible with the prices, but, there's so much other stuff that I do within the community that's absolutely free. Like I coach, like I said, I coach youth football all year round. So a lot of those kids that I work with, teams that I work with, and workouts that we do, obviously that's free of charge. I'm just coaching. But when I come over here, obviously this is something that I do for a living. So I have to be, a lot more disciplined and mindful of this being, my occupation. So it's not just something that, I kind of do on the side. Like some other people, they kind of train on the side. They have their full-time job and they do this and they do that. For me, this is it. This is, the be all end all when it comes to, career-wise. So definitely, try to be, financially responsible when it comes to that and setting prices and kind of, working with people. So,
definitely. I mean, so is it I have a kid, he's 12 years old. So what's the process there? Do I come bring them by? Do you kind of assess them? Is it a 6-week plan, or is it by the month? What's the mindset on that? So if someone has a 12-year-old they want to come to bring to Game Day. Yeah,
got you. Yeah, there's a couple of ways that they can come in. So I try to make easy for contact, easy for entry. So I'm very active on social media, Facebook, Instagram. That's where I do a lot of my marketing. That's where a lot of people contact me at, GameDay Fitness, Instagram and Facebook. I don't really do the Twitter thing or the TikTok. Not yet,
It's a lot.
not
It's
yet.
a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, my son, he's 11. Maybe when he gets a couple more years, maybe I'll let
Internship.
Yeah, I'll let him run the TikTok page or something like that, where a lot of people are kind of gravitating, and it's a great platform for some people that really tapped into that and found a way to leverage that platform. It's definitely been great. But I'm a Instagram and Facebook kind of guy. But yeah, if somebody has a kid that they're like, oh, I'd love to get them over there with Renz, they could definitely reach out. I always respond back to messages I get on Instagram or my cell phone number. I always put my personal cell phone number on flyers. It's on my Instagram and Facebook page, so they could text me directly, and then we kind of figure out what are the needs of that particular kid. Are they looking for strength training? Are they looking for speed and agility? What it is that you're looking for. And then, like we talked about earlier with price point, the thing that helps with price point and makes it a little bit more affordable for some people is there's classes and then there's private one-on-one sessions. So the private one-on-one sessions are going to be a lot more costly. Just with anything, whether it's any trainer, the private one-on-one, if you want that private time, it's going to cost more. And then we have classes that we run where smaller group classes with about 10, 12 kids in there, where that price point is going to drop way down, and be beneficial, a lot more beneficial for some parents that that price might be an issue for them.
Gotcha. So how do you feel like, even like as a businessman, like, because I know the world of training can be tough, getting people in full house or keeping the lights on. I feel like you don't have that issue. I have you on GameDay Fitness. You be having like 35 kids in here. So like, are you just kind of like just word of mouth at this point? I mean, like I said before, you are like the legend over around the Perry brothers. Everyone knows you guys. So it's kind of like just word of mouth, or is it just like you guys have like a running system at this point where everyone just knows who you are?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely put in a lot of work, aside from just, being Lorenzo Perry, the football player, to that, like you said, transition into more of the business side of it, because just being a good athlete is one thing, and that's only going to get you so far. There comes a point where you actually have to learn the craft of training. It's not just, you working out, it's learning the craft of training. And then it's learning the piece of running a business. So it's not that I'm only the trainer here. I actually, run the business. So, the marketing and promotions, the, day-to-day stuff, designing workouts, designing programs,
It's not easy.
Right. So I'm kind of, it's just me over here. So I'm the be-all, end-all when it comes to game day, but it's definitely, and like, I said earlier, with kind of focusing on the younger kids. One of the things that I heard not too long ago was there's riches and niches, so that always stuck with me. So what I did was kind of really niche down, my focus. So instead of being, having such a, wide focus and training anyone from, 7 to, 27 athletic wise, I said, what is the age group that I really love? What's an age group that's not typically targeted? Yeah, so I really niched down and kind of narrowed down my focus. And once I did that, that's when business really kind of exploded. And then you just become that guy for that, So training kids, oh, that's Renz. Oh, my kid's 10 years old. Oh, go see Lorenzo. Oh, I got a 12-year-old kid. Oh, go to game day. Just, once you niche down and really become a specialist and dedicate your time, your focus and energy in that area, so I went to seminars, I got certifications, I was reading like a ton of books to really figure out how to, capture that age group and how to best work with that age group and how to, properly develop that age group. That's when business really exploded. Yeah.
It's more to it than people think. It's like people think it's like the overnight success. Oh, just go to game day, but you put all those hours in, those seminars, reading the books, watching videos, the marketing yourself. It's not easy. Like even they seeing like social media reels of the podcast page now, and they're like, oh, that's cool. Like who does that? I'm like, I do that. It takes me all damn day to do it.
Right.
To master it now, it's quick. I'm banging them out quick. But as you know, when you first start, you're like, God damn, like going over here studying, reading.
Right.
And so people don't see that process, that side of it.
They don't.
And they don't see the process. Quick question for you: how do you get an 8-pack when you're at your age? This guy still has an 8-pack. pack? What's the answer? The quick answer.
The quick answer is our metabolism isn't what it was, so you can't eat the pizza McDonald's relentlessly like we did in the past. So you got to start digging into that green stuff.
Oh, man.
You got to start digging into those asparagus and the green beans and scoot the French fries to the side a little bit. So that's really the key. You know, as I gotten older, just being more mindful of my health and things that I was putting into my body. And I think that's, you know, helped to kind of preserve that longevity and just, you know, maintain that, you know, health and wellness kind of physique. You know?
Have you always been that guy, like the guy with the body?
So I can't lie. When we was younger, we did have great genetics. So our family we did have good genetics. I mean, we all have friends. We know people that just they have it. They have great genetics. They never lifted a weight in their life, or they never did a squat in their life, and they just like, damn, this dude don't do nothing. You know, he walks around eating pizza, you know, and he's ripped, you know what I mean? So we was fortunate, you know, we definitely had good genetics, but that only gets you to a certain point, you know, that only gets you to that, you know, maybe like 26-ish or so, maybe 25. And then after that, you know, it's starts to be a lot more dependent on your lifestyle and the choices that you make and less on your parents. So before, your body was like, oh, I got good parents, my mom. You know, then it starts to become on you, you know, that Whopper that
you gotta stay away. You gotta stay away.
Yeah.
I used to think, like, God damn, Kendall's calves are huge.
Right.
This guy over here.
Yeah, never did one calf raise in his life. So sometimes, you know, we're just blessed and fortunate to have good genetics that give us a good starting point, and then
you're gonna come to game day and get everything
that's
get
it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Are you helping kids out? Is that something completely different? Do you help kids out with like nutrition, stuff like that? So say like when a dean was here or something like that, are you like telling them what to eat? Is that come included, or is that you kind of let him be himself on the eating portion of it? Yeah,
so I kind of give nutritional guidance, but not specific meal plans. So, you know, I don't really dive into the dietary side of things. I kind of leave that up to, you know, nutritionists or dietitians or people like that really have, you know, expertise in that field. I kind of really stick to the training piece. Of course, I'll give them some basics and some pointers and stuff like that. But in terms of really diving into a diet and being specific with, you know, certain macros they should be eating with, you know, grams of protein and carbs and fats and things like that. I don't really dive into the nutritional side of things. Gotcha. I kind of, you know, leave that piece alone.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. You saw even like kind of before breakthrough, Brandon was in the, you know, the GameDay Flag Leagues. Are you guys still running that every single year? Yeah, the GameDay Flag League is definitely still going. It's as big as it's ever been. You know, last year we had close to about 400 participants. So I anticipate the same this year. So the leagues, you know, it's going great. I love it. It's one of my favorite things that I do over here at GameDay is running the Flag League every summer. Oh man, I have a clip actually. I'm not sure if you ever seen it. It went viral. It was on Brandon's team. Some kid got a pick six. He spin off someone in the middle of the pick six. It went viral on all football pages.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that.
I took that video.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
oh, yeah. I don't know if
it was Ray.
Was from Shay. I forget.
No, he's from Mount. He's from Mount.
Oh, okay.
Some kid, Ray, I think his name was. He was on Brandon's team.
Yeah,
Got that pick, hit him with a spin, hit him with a move.
I do remember
went
that.
Went viral. The kid stole it from my page, didn't give me credit, but it's all good. It's all good.
See, you would have like 1 million followers right now.
I
know what I'm saying?
I know. He didn't give me no credit. But man. So this is gonna drop next week. So it's gonna be first week of April. This is gonna drop. So the GameDay Fitness, the Flag League usually starts in June, correct? What should they know?
Father's
Day. Reach out to you. Yeah.
So we always start on Father's Day. That's kind of been our trademark. It actually kind of happened by accident. You know, I started on a Father's Day, and there was a couple of parents who was like, "Oh, that's cool that you're starting on Father's Day," but the date didn't even register to me at the time. You know, I just started, and then from there, it's just kind of been our thing where we start every year on Father's Day. So anybody that wants to get involved with the Flag League, that's from ages 5 to 14. Registration will be opening up on April 1st. All right, April 1st, you could go to GameDayFitnessKids.com, jump on there. Registration process, really easy. Or feel free to send me a message on, you know, Instagram or Facebook, GameDay Fitness. Reach out to me. I'll definitely get you guys plugged in, and you'll love it. You'll love it.
We have a couple minutes left, about like 10 minutes before you have your first session of the day. So kind of wrap up. So Cowboys What's it to know about that? How do they tap in? How do they join the Cowboys? You should get it right. My brother played for the Cowboys, has helped him transition to like the player he was at Hendricken and build that confidence. So I definitely always give recommendations to tap into Cowboys. So how should they join? How can they join?
Yeah, so the Cowboys, that's the organization, our tackle organization that I coach. Anybody that wants to join that organization, again, you can reach out to me the same way that I just expressed about game day. If you're already part of an organization and you're loving it and enjoying it, stay there. I don't like to recruit anybody from any other organization. So if you're where you're at, you're loving it, you're having a good time, stay there. But if you are looking for somewhere to kind of play and somewhere to help you kind of develop and grow as a player, we'd love to have you over there at Mount Hope Cowboys.
But I feel like you guys are going to have a lot of people looking for a new team this year, because I didn't even know. I heard this like 2 weeks ago. A whole bunch of Pop Warner teams, they kind of dismantled, like the Rhode Island Pop Warner, right? They kind of went away?
Yeah, so basically it was just kind of the league entity as itself. There used to be Ocean State Pop Warner, so there's no more Ocean State Pop Warner. So so the physical teams themselves, like the Cowboys, Intruders, Eagles, all of those teams, they're still intact. They still, have a lot of their, participants. It was just the kind of the Pop Warner League itself kind of dissolved. So those organizations are just looking for other, agencies to kind of attach to and play for. So, we're out in Massachusetts. We play in a metropolitan league with a lot of the Boston, inner city schools, Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan. We play a lot of those teams from out there.
That team pissed me off.
Because that's where the competition's at, So we like to bring our kids where the competition's at and, not just play everything local here. We like to, expose them to, some of those, some real deal battles.
Yeah, some real deal battles. And I'd have to come back and do another one. We haven't even really touched Bryant, but I kind of want to touch Bryant a little bit. I need to get your reactions to these, 'cause I was obviously watching before I got here. I'm not sure if you've ever done this before. I'm going to pull up these right here. Let's see, like your...
Let's see what you got there, man. What you got?
So this is what's your mindset when you hit this dude off? Because obviously people who played before, but again, you were elite, you were a finals or D2 player of the year, so you're out here making plays, man. So what's your mindset when you're seeing this stuff right here? You can get like a one-on-one, like the mindset of Renz when you're running the ball. So you get the ball right here, you come up, you hit that dude off again. 2 dudes in a row. Like, how are you seeing this, the vision for seeing this? Even like Kendall, when I was playing against Melissa Salle, I was like, how the hell do you see us coming? His was an spin move. Like, obviously you make moves, but you're making like multiple moves at once. You're making these elite plays. So like, this play right here, like, what's your mindset when you're getting the ball like this right here?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that as a running back that you can't really teach. It's just some things that are just very instinctive. So those are the things that you just kind of feel how a defender might shift a little bit left or shift a little bit right, and you just kind of react off of that. And then there's some guys you don't always see. It's almost like a feel. Like, I don't always see everybody, but as a running back, sometimes I just feel when guys are next to me, and I just get this heightened sense. So, my body just kind of instinctively reacts with, certain things like that. So again, you don't always see everybody. Sometimes it's just a feel.
Yeah, and this one right here too, I think this is the only gotta take that down off again too. But this one right here, you get the ball, hit this, oh my God. You shook him, and then you spin off of him. So do you practice that move, or is that just an instinct right there too off your mind?
Yeah.
And hit the dude off again, hit 2 dudes off. So.
Yeah, so a lot of that's, really just instincts and just that ability that we have. Sometimes smaller guys, we don't have the size. So where can you make up for that at? You make up with that in your vision. You make up with that in your agility, your ability to evade and make guys miss, man. So
this one right here, so you're spinning off. So you hit the first dude off. This dude right here, hit him off. And then when you hit the spin off, you feel someone's coming right now. So you're about to make an under move right after this spin off. This dude coming here, then you come inside. So do you just kind of feel like you kind of know this dude's going to be coming around here where he's trying to catch you this way? So you just hit off the inside already. You kind of know that movement's coming?
Right, exactly. So I kind of know based on the way I'm moving, what you're thinking as a defender, and it's easier for me to counteract that. You know what I mean? So I know when I'm coming out of this spin move, Like, you're anticipating me still moving at full speed this way, and I know that. So I know that soon as I come out of that spin, I got to put the brakes on and come back this way, because before I made that spin move, I seen the defense already pursuing. You know, they was already pursuing. So
this one right here is I kind of laughed out loud when I seen this one. Do you remember this one? You
oh,
spin.
yeah. Yep.
Hey,
That's,
two dudes hit each other.
one of my favorite ones right there.
I thought I was trying to let off the highlight tape. I was like, this one, I'm like, Jesus Christ. So, like, you kind of just, same thing. Similar aspect, you feel some dude trying to tackle you, and then you just spin off of them, and then you just happen to spin off, all to do it at the same time.
So there's some guys that, like, it looks like that guy, like, literally has a chance to tackle me. But for me, in my mind, that guy is already beaten. I'm not even focused on him. My eyes are on a guy that's coming towards me right now, because the guy that's going to make that tackle, he's already beat. You know, so now I'm focusing on the next guy that's approaching.
So basically saying, you already forgot about this dude.
He's gone.
You forgot about that dude.
That guy, yep, him right there. I'm not even.
You're spinning for the dude that hit his boy.
Right, exactly. Exactly. That's who I'm looking for. And then, you know, sometimes you have enough time to set certain things up where you almost make the defense go where you want them to go. So I make them go where I want them to go, so I can get where I need to go. You know, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man.
You
It's
know,
just a lead, man. I'm having a great time. We have to, set another time up to do like a whole Bryant one. I have a million more questions, but I know you got something coming up right now. I want to end off with one question I've been asking a lot of people. It's kind of been like the trademark of the EG Pot of Thunder. So if your biggest hater wrote a book about you, what would the title of it be?
Overrated midget. That's what they'll say. Or they'll say, "Oh my God, he's overrated midget." You know, that's what the title would be, right there.
Do that for everything. I mean, the biography of your life, just so overrated businessman, overrated this, and you're just like, you guys don't understand the work I'm putting into this. Like, it's not overrated. Like, it's a lot of training and time you put into this.
Yeah, definitely on the field. You know, there used to be, some guys, used to hate. Like I said, it was that golden era of, Rhode Island football, so there was some guys that went on to play, like I said, Jamie Silver, they went on to play Division I. They had an opportunity in the NFL, Will Blackman and those guys, so there are some guys that, give them a little bit more love, and, be hating sometimes, but
man, they got all
me, Will, and Jamie. We all have a great relationship, man, and we show a lot of love and a lot of respect for guys that we play with and battle with at those high levels. So,
yeah, man, you guys were elite. And you guys had a different sport, but Missoula was back then too.
Yeah, Joe Missoula. Yeah, yep, I used to play against him. He was a beast, and Jeff Xavier in basketball.
That was an elite time.
Yeah, so there was a lot of guys, man, in Rhode Island that was really just excelling, and guys that was playing, man, the sport at a very high level, very high level.
Yeah, man, I love to see. And actually, I had one last question just for this makes sense in this podcast right here.
Yeah.
So you said the Cowboys, you're at a specific age. A lot of Pop Warner AYF teams, they do like the coach follows one team, like one age group. Why the Cowboys do you stick with one age group? So like I know Nas like one, Hurlin's one age, you're one age, and they go from age. So it's like you guys, I'm not sure like the exact order, but it'd be like you, then Hurlin, then Nah.
Yeah.
So like why do you guys have it like that opposed to you following that one age group until they graduate?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is really coaching at a level that you're comfortable coaching. Like, I'm not going to have you coach 14-year-olds if, one, you don't have the football knowledge to develop the skills that they need, and two, you don't have the skills to, really deal with them from a, personal perspective. Like, Nas great with the older kids, so that's the age that he enjoys coaching most. And the same thing with me, So everybody, yes, you stay at an age group that you feel comfortable with developing those kids from a football standpoint and from, an emotional standpoint of being able to relate to that age group. So to say, someone starts at 6 and then you follow them to 8 and then you follow them to 10 and you follow them, like you might not, one, feel, like I said, comfortable dealing with that age, or two, feel you have the skill set to coach at that level, because it's a different level of football, coaching at a 8U level and a 14U level.
Do you think that's like a problem with youth sports right now? Do you think that's like a massive problem, or maybe I've seen this before, and Brandon played on a couple teams where like the coaching, I feel like the coaches and like the players got too comfortable, and it's like they lost that coach-player relationship. I feel like with that type of structure, you can't get comfortable with your coach, where it's like, oh, he's just my friend now. And I feel like teams, organizations that Brandon played for before, they lost that respect, and the players didn't care no more, and that's why they're getting their ass kicked. So I feel like, do you think that's like a little bit of an issue with other organizations?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons to each philosophy. Like, I know some organizations that do move with their kids. Like you said, we don't. We stay at a particular level. But, moving with your kids, you do have that level of comfort. You do know your players, a lot better, and it does allow you to get off to an early start because you know who your quarterback is, you know who your running back is, where also it could be a drawback, for some kids because, if, Lorenzo's always been a running back, they're just going to put him there because he's always been a running back, so another kid might not get that opportunity.
Pisses me off. That's why I went. I feel like I can give you guys like a testimony. That's why I do agree with that. When you go, they're used to having Lorenzo. He's our running back. Oh, he's our running back. How do you know? How do you know there's some kid who just transferred in, he just moved to Rhode Island, and he's not better than Lorenz? You don't know if you're not given an opportunity. Right. And I feel like a lot of these organizations don't give opportunities. They're just like, oh, this is my guy. I don't care what you do. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know? I think if you're a good coach, you can evaluate talent no matter who it is. And I don't know. I think that's me thinking it's like a big problem with Rhode Island football. Is like a lot of the coaching is, especially with the youth sports. And it's like, all right, you guys, need to know how to, utilize your athletes. And do you think that's an issue too, even like with like youth and like high school football, where these coaches are so, this is my playbook, this is the type of offense I'm running, you get used to it. I feel like if you have a certain player, you should, if you're a good coach, you should be able to adapt to that player.
Yeah, I think that's important as a coach to be able to, design around the players that you have. You can't, the old adage, you can't put a round peg in a square hole. So you might have a particular offense that you love to run, but you don't have the quarterback to run spread, or you don't have the quarterback to run option. So you definitely have to, I think, shape your playbook around the players that you have. You have your key, you have your foundational principles that are going to, stand the test of time regardless of the playbook or the offense or whatever it is that you run. But in terms of, certain concepts that should be a little bit different depending on personnel.
No, for sure. I mean, I definitely agree. And I know that's like I said, my brother Brandon came on, who was on Nas team in Hurlins. And, testimony right here where like I think that's where his confidence grew with Nah believed in him. He gave him the opportunity to play offense and defense. And, went to Hendricken, had a pretty good high school career there. And I think, like I said it before, I shout out to GameDay, shout out, Cowboys, because definitely, he said it himself, it built that confidence in him. Good. Where other players and other teams weren't given the opportunity to shine. And they were giving those players they were used to the opportunity. And it's like, you guys don't even like see what, and not just because my brother, plenty of people have done that. It's like you don't see because you don't get the opportunity. And now, teams like the Cowboys and, GameDay help them build that confidence. So make sure you tap in April 1st, like you said, for GameDay Flag League. Tap into the Cowboys. And then we should expect for the 2023 for Renz, GameDay, and the Cowboys.
Right now, I'm just my biggest thing right now is developing, a digital platform. I think this is the age where expansion is coming from a lot of the digital world. So that's what I'm trying to really tap into and kind of make my mark and figure out how I can reach more and just kind of move into this this next generational age with from a digital perspective. So. Growth and expansion, from a digital side is kind of where I'm looking at.
Oh yeah, man, for sure, man. If you ever want to tap in, do more podcasts, come here, we can get a lot more interviews, more content, man. Let me know. I can show you some basics on this stuff too. And I appreciate you allowing me to come in and do this. It was a great time. And I'm doing actually this weekend. So if you're ever interested, even maybe like the championship games, I can come by, do some pre and post game interviews. I'm doing it for the Proud City Classic this weekend. It'll be last weekend when you guys watch this, but tap in. It'll be a good time. I have clips coming up. Make sure you follow my guy, Renz, GameDay Fitness on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you tap into Explore FF. That's my personal page. I'm going to Coachella in 2 weeks. Then I'm going to Barcelona, London, Miami for the Dolphins games, Dolphins season ticket holder. And, make sure you follow EG Pop Thunder on all social media platforms, TikTok, podcast platforms. We're everywhere. You know, like, subscribe, send us to the moon. Make sure you send my guy Renz to the moon. That's to get it, baby.